Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of our Meal Prep Made Easy series. As you know, all month long, I'm sharing brand new meal prep menus that can all be prepared on Sunday so that you're eating well all week long. And I'm really excited about today's menu because it's full of fresh and beautiful flavors that I think you guys are going to love. Remember, all of the recipes for today's menu are available in my Meal Prep Made Easy ebook, as well as the shopping list and lots of tips and tricks for making your meal prep completely effortless. Now, let's kick things off with our lentil soup. This soup is super easy to make, really hearty, and perfect for Meatless Monday. I'm making it in my slow cooker, but you could definitely do this in a big soup pot as well if that's what you had. I'm gonna get started by adding some finely diced onion and some minced garlic to my slow cooker. To that, I'm going to add my lentils. I'm using pretty little red lentils in this recipe. You could use other types of lentils, but I find these are the best. Next, I'm going to add some tomato paste, which has a really nice concentrated tomato flavor. And then I'm going to add some crushed tomatoes as well. We're going to top all of this off with some vegetable broth, and then it's time to add our spices. I'm going to be using some ground coriander, some ground cumin, some beautiful turmeric, and some cinnamon. I'm going to finish this off with a little bit of salt and pepper, give it all a good stir, and then just set my slow cooker on high for 3 or 4 hours. Once it's ready, it's rich and hearty and filling, and it will last in your refrigerator for 4 to 5 days. It also freezes really well for up to 3 months. Next on today's menu, I'm making an amazing chicken dish that actually is a lot like chicken shawarma, except without a rotisserie. Because come on, how many of us have a rotisserie in our kitchen? Most of us don't. This stuff is super flavorful, but actually really easy to prepare. And it all starts with a simple yogurt marinade. So I'm starting with some plain Greek yogurt in a bowl, and to that I'm going to add the juice and zest of 1 lemon. I've also got some garlic, because I believe in the power of garlic. For my spices, I've got some paprika, I've also got some ground cumin, I've got some dried oregano, some turmeric, and some cinnamon. Using cinnamon in savory dishes, I think it adds something to it. I'm going to finish it off with some salt and pepper and give it all a good whisk. And then the secret is all in the zipper bag. So I've got 1 red onion that I've just given a really rough chop to. And then I'm going to add my chicken. I am using some boneless, skinless chicken thighs and some boneless, skinless chicken breast. I like the mixture of dark meat and white meat in this dish because I think the dark meat adds a ton of flavor and the light meat is a little bit healthier. I'm going to top them with my marinade, close the bag, and give it all a good zhuzh to make sure everything's well coated. As with most great marinades, the longer this yumminess sits, the happier that chicken is going to become. Into the fridge it goes for at least an hour, but overnight is actually ideal. When it's time to cook it, all we're going to do is pour it into a baking dish, cover it with foil, and into the oven it goes at 375 for about 40 minutes. After 40 minutes, we're going to remove the foil and put it back into the oven for another 10 to 15 minutes or until it's nice and bubbly and golden. This stuff is amazing when eaten all on its own, but I like it best when tucked into a pita with some cucumber and tomato slices, a little bit of lettuce, and some tzatziki. How amazing does that sound? Next up on today's menu, I have an amazing side dish that I think you guys are going to love. It's a rice and lentil dish called mujadara. I may have mispronounced that, so I do apologize if I did. But it's this amazing dish that has rice and lentils and a whole lot of caramelized onion. How amazing does that sound? We're going to get started by cooking up our rice and our lentils. Now, we need to give our lentils a bit of a head start because they do take a little bit longer than our rice to cook. So, I've got a pot on the stove, and to that I'm going to add some vegetable broth, some minced garlic, and my lentils. I'm using green lentils in this recipe because that's what I had on hand, but brown lentils would work just as well. We're going to bring all of this yumminess to a boil and then turn our heat down to medium-low, put on the lid, and let these simmer for 15 to 20 minutes. In the meantime, we are going to get started by caramelizing some onions. So I've got a frying pan on the stove. To that, I'm gonna add a couple tablespoons of olive oil. Once that olive oil is nice and hot, I'm going to add some thinly sliced onion. I'm going to cook these beautiful onions for about 20 minutes or until they've developed a nice golden color. So after about 20-25 minutes, our lentils are cooking away and we are going to add in our rice. And then we are also going to add in half of these gorgeous onions. I'm going to give it all a good stir, turn the heat down to low, and put the lid on. I'm going to let this simmer for about 10 minutes or so, or until the rice is cooked through. In the meantime, I'm going to finish off the rest of my onions by letting them get nice and dark and brown and crispy. The darker they get, the sweeter they become. Trust me, you don't want to rush perfection here. Once our rice is finished, we're going to top it with the rest of our caramelized onions, and it is ready to eat. Trust me, your house will smell amazing, your mouth will be watering, and you will be ready to eat. This stuff can be stored in your refrigerator for 3 or 4 days, or frozen for up to 3 months. For our roasted veggies this week, I'm actually going to be roasting some beautiful earthy beets. Now, there are several schools of thought on the best way to cook beets. For me, I love to roast them. I think they develop the best flavor and they become super easy to peel once they're cooked through. So I'm starting with about 6 beets that I've just trimmed by removing the greens and the ends. All I'm going to do is rub each of my beets with a little bit of olive oil and wrap them in tin foil, almost the way you would with a baked potato. Then we're going to put these babies in the oven at 400 degrees for at least an hour. You'll know they're ready when you stick a fork in and it comes out really, really easily. Once your beets are done, you can take them out of the oven and let them cool for 5 to 10 minutes or until they're ready to handle. And check this out. The skins start to rub right off. If your beets are cooked properly, the skins will come off almost effortlessly. Then all I do is dice them up, top them with a little bit of olive oil, some white wine vinegar, and just a sprinkle of beautiful fresh parsley. And these beets are ready to eat all week long. They can be added to salads or to rice dishes or eaten entirely on their own. I would say this recipe is pretty unbeatable. For lunch this week, I'm making a classic fatouche salad. This salad has lots of fiber, lots of flavor, and a ton of crunch, which is why I love it so much. The best part about this salad is that it can all be tossed together on Sunday and then eaten all week long. The longer it sits, the more delicious it becomes. So I'm getting started with some English cucumber and some tomatoes that I finely chopped. To that, I'm going to add some thinly sliced radishes for loads of crunch. I'm going to top it with some chopped green onion and some freshly chopped mint. For our dressing, we're keeping things really, really simple. I've got some olive oil, some lemon juice, and some ground sumac. It's got a bit of acidity to it, full of vitamin C. It's got a really nice flavor. I highly recommend you give it a try. We're going to add a sprinkle of salt and pepper and then give this all a really good toss. I'm transferring this salad into 5 mason jars. To that, I'm going to add some nice, fresh, crunchy romaine lettuce, and these babies are good to go. They'll last in your refrigerator for up to 5 days. For breakfast this week, we're going to be making some overnight oatmeal. If you're not familiar with overnight oatmeal, you are in luck because it is one of my favorite make-ahead breakfasts. It all starts with some rolled old-fashioned oats in a jar. To each jar, I'm going to add some chia seeds, some fresh fig that I've given a quick chop to, some chopped pistachios, and a little drizzle of honey for sweetness. I'm using fresh figs in this recipe. Fresh figs can actually be quite hard to find depending on the time of year. So you could also use dried figs, but I would use about half the amount because dried figs are uber sweet. What's amazing about these jars is that they can all be made in advance. And then all you're going to do before bed is to fill each with some almond milk, give it a good shake, and by morning, your oatmeal is ready to eat. It can be eaten cold straight out of the fridge, or you can heat it up in the microwave. And for more awesome overnight oatmeal recipes, be sure to click this thumbnail. Finally, on today's menu, we're going to be whipping up one of my favorite healthy snacks. It's called baba ganoush, and it's a dip that's made with roasted eggplant. If you are an eggplant hater, this might be the thing that will change your mind. Now, traditionally, baba ganoush is made by roasting your eggplant over an open flame. I do not have any open flames in my kitchen, so I'm going to use my broiler instead. So we are just gonna cut off the crown of our eggplant, and then we're gonna cut our eggplant into discs. Then I'm going to arrange them on a baking sheet and brush each side with some oil. Eggplant is super absorbent. It's like a little sponge. So anything you put on it, it's gonna absorb right away. I'm also going to season them with some salt and some pepper. Then I'm going to put them into the oven with my broiler on high for about 5 minutes, or until they become nice and golden on top. After 5 minutes, we are going to flip our eggplant and put them back in for another 5 minutes or so. Once the eggplant is nice and golden, it's time to take it out of the oven and then tent it with some foil. We're going to let that eggplant steam in the foil for 5 or 10 minutes. This is going to help us remove the skins really, really easily. Once the skins have been removed, you can transfer your eggplant into the bowl of your food processor. Then we're going to add some flavor. So I've got some minced garlic, some freshly squeezed lemon juice, and some tahini. Tahini is actually a paste made of ground up sesame seeds. I'm going to finish this off with some fresh parsley and some salt and pepper, and then let it blend away. Once our food processor is going, we are going to start to add our olive oil. I like to add my olive oil a tablespoon at a time until my dip has reached the right consistency. Baba ganoush is amazing, spread on sandwiches or served with pita, or I like it best served with fresh, crunchy veggies. I really hope you guys love this week's menu as much as I do. If you give any of these recipes a try, be sure to tweet or Instagram me a photo, because you know I love seeing what you're coming up with in your very own kitchens. And don't forget that all of these recipes, plus shopping lists and lots of tips and tricks, are available in my Meal Prep Made Easy ebook. All of the details are in the description box below. And finally, if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe, because there is lots more meal prep where this came from.